Hi there. Hi, my name is Bryony, and I am a mindset trainer and a meditation teacher. And I'm so happy that you're joining me here today because we've got a special session planned for you. So, this is actually the second of 4 sessions that I'm running over 4 weeks. And if you joined me for that first session, then I'm so happy that you're here again. So, thank you. But if you're watching this for the first time, then a very warm welcome to you as well. Now, it's not necessary that you've watched the first session. That was an introductory session where we spoke a bit about the basics of meditation and then covered a bit of some practices together. So we're going to build on some of that, which we did last week. But also, if this is your first time joining us, then that's okay. You don't need to have watched the previous session to take part in this one as well. So what we're going to be covering together today is what's called the mind-body connection. Now, this is really interesting for a few different reasons. So we're going to unpack that a bit together. But really in the session today, what we're going to cover is things about, really what is meditation? How and why is it something that's useful? Why would we want to do it? Some of the benefits that come with meditation. And we're going to do some practices together as well. So all you need for this session is just somewhere comfy for you to sit. Now, ideally somewhere quiet, but if you've got people around you, then that's okay too. Because the type of meditation that I've been trained in, it's called modern meditation. So with modern meditation, we really want to be able to practice it in whatever the conditions are. Because just like life, we don't always get the conditions that we'd like. So sometimes you may think of a meditation like sitting in a quiet room and, making om sounds. And although, yes, that is a type of meditation and we can do that, with this type of meditation, it's really like a type of cognition. It's a way of using your mind. And so we want to learn to be able to do this, whatever the conditions, because that's really powerful, isn't it? To be able to still have some control over your thoughts and feelings, no matter what is happening around you in the external environment. So before we continue on, I'll just share a little bit more about me for context, and then we'll actually get cracking with some practices. So as I shared, my name is Bryony and it's a beautiful sunny day in Manchester in the UK where I'm based. I can see out the window today. And I've been practicing meditation for about 6 years. And I came to meditation needing some support with help with like stress and anxiety. I was living and working in London and was a bit overloaded with work and was suffering a bit from burnout. I'm sure at many points people can resonate with feeling a bit overwhelmed. And so meditation for me was a really amazing process to discover, which allowed me to learn how to meditate, which we'll cover a bit on today. But then as you started to do that, if you've ever tried any meditation before, or say you have your own practice, then you'll know what I'm talking about all the benefits that come with meditation, being able to calm the mind and body down. And then with that comes a lot more mental clarity. You get a lot more vision and understanding about what you're really feeling and thinking. And for those of you that are new to meditation, sometimes it can seem like, how is it that something so simple, like sitting with your eyes closed and sitting quietly, observing, say, your body breathing, for example, how can that change your life? And in our lives, we often want things to be complicated or difficult, and frequently it is the simplest things that can be the most powerful. But because they're so simple, we go like, no, that's not possible. It can't just be that. And a little bit of a tricky part with meditation is that because we're using the mind to experience the mind or to observe the mind, so creating that bit of space, the mind ends up getting in our own way, or rather saying, I'm too busy, I don't have time for this is boring. Our mind's wandering off in a million different directions, but that's what the mind does. And over time, it does start to calm down. And in the session last week, I shared this beautiful quote by Steve Jobs, who, was obviously the founder of Apple. So, he's famous all across this world, and he was a really passionate meditator. And he has this lovely quote where he talks about how, meditation is a discipline, you have to practice it. But, initially when you first sit down to meditate, like your mind is like a caged animal. You may have heard an expression, the monkey mind, the mind's pulling you in every other direction. And so sometimes people think, well, I want to relax with meditation. And that's what I originally came to meditation for. I wanted some help to try to switch my mind off. I remember saying to my teacher, I just want to be able to relax. I want to be able to switch my mind off. That's not actually what meditation is. Meditation can certainly support relaxation. And we'll discuss more of this in a moment. And it also can also mean that the mind starts to settle down. So although we're not switching off the mind, we get a bit more space between the thoughts, which can offer us a bit of a respite. I'm sure many of us have had it where it's been late at night, you've been in bed, you've been tired, you want to go to sleep, but your mind has other plans. Your mind's like chatting away. And, it's like being on a merry-go-round or roundabout, it's just going round again and again and again, and you can't seem to switch it off, right? But it's not about switching off the mind, it's learning how to work with the mind. So that's what we're going to explore together today. And what I do is I teach people a lot of these techniques. I collaborate with different organizations. I offer up training courses and individual practices to help people learn how to meditate, treating it like a life skill. And when it comes to this mind-body connection that I mentioned earlier, well, it's trying to start to see the body as this holistic system. And we'll discuss a bit more about this in a moment. But the mind-body connection is where we're starting to understand that, the mind or the brain is not separate to the body. And although the mind, being as powerful as it is, really does steer and govern a lot of what the body does, we want to understand that there's a two-way feedback loop. That the conditions of the body influence the quality of the mind. For example, one day to the next, you may be feeling very different, but perhaps that affects your performance. You might see it with, say, athletes, for example. Like one day, their body is not going to change much one day to the next, but we know the power of mindset and the power of the quality of their mind to ultimately how we can perform, how we can show up in our lives. So then let's do a couple of practices together. Now we're going to start with actually just doing some breathing to begin with. So although this isn't a meditation practice as such, it is a way for us to start to become familiar with how we can bring that conscious attention to what is actually a subconscious action. So for example, your body breathing, well, we never really need to think about it, do we? The body breathing is something that just happens. It's with us from the day we arrive to the day we leave. It's always there. But it's one of the few functions of the body that is both a subconscious action, so we don't need to give any conscious thought, it just happens, but we can actually bring that conscious attention to control the breath, to consciously control it. So when I say control it, it's not going to be really tight, like we're wrestling with the breath, but we're going to just do a few deep breaths together. And we'll do this because the breath is very closely linked to our emotional state. And I'm sure, you've experienced it in your own life, or people, if someone is a bit worked up, they might say, just breathe, just take a few deep breaths. And there's a real science behind this. And once we start taking some deep breaths, we can actually switch on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the body's relaxation response. So we're going to play around with that parasympathetic nervous system right now. And with these breaths that we're going to do, I will guide you in a moment. And there's just going to be 5 of these deep breaths, but we'll do a couple of practices first. And I should say that they should be, suitable for everyone, but do listen to your body. So if for whatever reason you feel like these breaths aren't really for you, well, then you are your own best teacher. You are the expert in you. So just go with what feels right for you. But these are quite gentle breaths, so hopefully they shouldn't present too much of a challenge. So we'll just practice, and you can practice along with me. We'll just do a couple of these now to get a feel for the breath, and then we'll do 5 of these with our eyes closed. So then what we'll do is we're going to breathe in through the nose, and when you have that full expansion of the inhale, actually really breathe into the belly or the stomach. And it may be nice to actually even put your hands on the belly and imagine like breathing into the belly, and as you breathe in, the belly expands out. Now, the reason why we do this is that, in a given day, we may only use between 30 to 70% of our lung capacity. And, if like me, like right now, you're sat in front of a computer, we can spend a lot of the day quite sedentary. And so we're not really moving around that much. So the breath can get quite shallow. And also if we are tense in any way, and this can even be excited tension, it doesn't have to be, say, we're feeling anxious or nervous, we can just be very focused on, say, the task or the thing at hand. And you may notice sometimes you're like holding your breath, or the body is quite tight. So like I notice sometimes my shoulders are like up here, and you may be like, so when we're having the belly expanded, we're really inviting the body to open up a bit more and make better use of this beautiful lung capacity. And another interesting fact is that, up to 70% of our waste processes are facilitated through the lungs. So actually your ability to breathe more deeply and make full use of the lungs really helps to facilitate the body's like cleaning and healing processes as well. Not to mention emotional regulation and mental clarity. The benefits go on. But let's do a couple of those breaths now. So we'll breathe in. So you can do them with me now. So let's just do a short out breath to begin. So and then we'll breathe in through the nose, deep into that belly. And then exhale out through the mouth. Very good. We'll do one more breath like that. So nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Very good. Now allow the breathing just to return back to normal for a moment. Did you feel that belly expand? Were you able to breathe into the hands? It can be even nice to, if you have a waistband around the belly, to either move it up or move it down, just to really allow the softness of the belly to be there. We spend so much of our time holding in our stomachs, and not only can that mean that all the organs are not getting the space that they need, but also the lungs aren't able to fully extend. So it's really nice just to relax, let it all hang out just for now. Lovely. Okay, well, we'll do 5 of those breaths now, but this time I'll ask you to please close your eyes. So just get comfortable wherever you're sitting. Maybe take a moment to roll the shoulders back so that you have really like a much more full extension through the lungs. But once again, do listen to your body. And I should share that it's not uncommon to have a little bit of lightheadedness or dizziness. Just know that you're completely safe. It's just the additional oxygen coming into the body. But listen to you. Listen to you. So just go gently. Although these are deep breaths, we're doing this with like a softness. It's that gentle breath, really drawing it in, coming down into the body. And so although we're inviting that depth to be there, it's not like a sharp inhale. And we're not breathing up into the top body, we're breathing down into the belly. Okay? So then, putting your hands, if you like, once more onto the belly, and really, that loving kindness to yourself in terms of feeling that soft round belly, no judgments, no commentary, no regrets about past cake eaten. Talking about myself here. And we'll breathe, put hands onto the belly, and I'll invite you to please close the eyes once more, and we'll do these breaths together. So we'll do a short exhale to begin. So exhaling through the mouth, then breathing in through the nose, deep into the belly, and exhaling out through the mouth. Another breath in through the nose, deep into that belly, and out through the mouth. Very good. A few more breaths here. Nice deep inhale in through the nose, deep into the belly. Feel the hands. And exhaling out through the mouth. Doing great. Just a couple more breaths. So a nice deep breath in through the nose, deep into the belly. Feel that extension. And then exhaling out through the mouth. Very good. We'll do one more breath like that. So a nice deep breath in through the nose, deep into that nice rounded belly. And then exhaling out through the mouth. Very good. Keep the eyes still closed and just allow the breathing to settle back down. And with the eyes closed, we can start to observe any sensations in the body. So there may be some lightheadedness or maybe some tingling, and that's okay. It's just different sensations, just feedback from the body after taking those deep breaths. And the intensity of those sensations will melt away as the breathing starts to normalize. Very good, well done. So ahead of us doing our next practice, we're going to do those breaths again. And actually, this is a lovely takeaway. You know, if there was just one thing that you were to take from our time together today, I would love for it to be those belly breaths. And the reason why is because if we can encourage ourselves to be more consciously aware, so in that practice, you were using your awareness of your mind, that mental attention. You were going, okay, body, we're going to breathe in a slightly different way. And you helped to orchestrate that breath. So in that moment, you were bringing the mind to focus in on the body, to become present, to then facilitate these nice deep breaths. And then with that, you're allowing the mind and body to come into a bit more stillness. So it's a really helpful exercise. So some of you may be feeling very nice and super chill now. You're like, oh, that was great. For some of us, sometimes actually there's still a lot going on. So we can still be feeling maybe a bit, let's just call it energy, you know, because that's really all emotions are, this energy in the body. So sometimes we can maybe still feeling a bit busy, but just trust that with regular practice. So doing those 5 deep breaths, this can be a really wonderful way of welcoming and some genuine relaxation into the mind and body. But it also helps us to become present as well. So before we go on to our main practice together, I'll explain a little bit more about this mind-body connection and why doing this meditation practice is so helpful, as well as the skills that we really look to develop in this meditation. Because for me, what's really important is that our meditation practice is not something that we just say do in the morning or you might do at the weekend and it's somehow separate from your life as a whole. For me, it is like a life skill that we're looking to then cultivate or develop certain skills, certain mental skills or tools that we can then use in our day-to-day life. Because to be frank, I mean, not saying what's the point otherwise, but it's more just about having that awareness of going, oh, okay, this is what we were doing in the meditation practice, and I can see how and why now this is going to help me in my life. So, for example, with the mind-body connection, and which we're going to explore in this next meditation, as I shared with the breaths that we were just doing, you know, you've got this integrated system. You know, we typically think it's the mind that controls the body and like that's the way it is. But certainly research in a lot of areas of science are now starting to show just how much the conditions of the body and the sensations, the systems within the body, what an influence that has on our mental state. So, for example, we may have thoughts in our mind and we think that that steers our action. So, you think, okay, I want to have a cup of coffee. And then so the mind commands the body to go and grab that mug and, and we have a cup of coffee. But the fact is that there's all sorts of other signals in the body basically steering us. So it's like, no, actually, I'm thirsty or I'm hungry. And often it's the mind interpreting signals coming up from the body. So that may be a really obvious one in terms of how we, take care of this mind and body and listen to the information the body is giving us, like, okay, I'm hungry or I need some more rest. But what I find really interesting are things like intuition, and gut feel. We even say that. And sometimes if you receive maybe some bad news or something that's quite shocking, we even say it's like a punch to the gut. You feel it. You're like, oof, you feel it in the body, right? So when we think about how we sort of navigate life day to day, you've got your thoughts in the mind, but you often, we all experience emotions. And an interesting and important distinction is we've got emotions which are actually felt in the body. Emotions are a set of like composite biological signals that happen in the body. So, for example, I may have a thought about, say, a stressful conversation that I haven't even had yet, but I may be anticipating with someone. And there's a whole bunch of thoughts that happen. I can see that person in my mind. I'm imagining talking to them. And then the nature of those thoughts triggers me into maybe a very gentle fight or flight response. So then what happens then is the body systems start kicking and this process starts going underway where there's, say, additional cortisol and adrenaline starting to go through the body systems. And so that's when we say, we feel things, like I feel anxious or I feel stressed. And the fact is our minds are so powerful is that we don't have to actually be witnessing, real time something stressful happening in order for a stress response to start happening in the body. And so the mind-body connection is essentially thinking about it like a two-way street or like communication channels between the mind and the body. And the more that we can become aware of what is going on in the body, you can start to increase your conscious awareness of how you're actually feeling. And when I talk about how you're feeling, this is not, sort of wishy-washy inquiries like, how are you feeling? Are you okay? It's like you're starting to be a lot more aware of what is actually going on for you. It's treating emotions and feelings like really important information. Because the more you start to be aware of your emotional states, the more you get clues about things like what's important to you. What things do you love? What things do you find really challenging? And if you do find them challenging, why are they challenging? And what we're in one of the later sessions, we're going to in the coming weeks, we're going to explore a little bit more in depth about intuition because I find it so fascinating. Wouldn't it be lovely in life if you could just back yourself, like your intuition tells you something and you think, I'm going to trust that, rather than your intuition tells you something and you think, I don't know if I could trust that. And then you do something else and you go against it. As part of the mindset training I do, I speak to people all the time. It's a real pleasure to be able to ask them about their goals, their hopes, their dreams. And we have a really amazing and often quite deep conversations about like their life and how they're each of that guidance. What even is intuition? Have you ever stopped to think about what is it that are you picking up on? How is it that you get these strong signals of information? And what does it feel like? So for some people, they may have that gut feel. So you feel it in like the belly, you know, you'd think like, oof, you know, something's not right. Or actually giving you information and guidance about, well, hey, now this is actually good for you, or we do like doing this. So this is why the mind-body connection is something that's really, really powerful to start to explore. You know, to start to open up those lines of communication between the mind and body and to see what's there. It also really helps to facilitate emotional intelligence. Because if we again think about, well, what does emotional intelligence mean? Well, for me, it's our ability to more accurately discern or to label what emotional experiences are going on. Because emotions, you know, are that set of, I keep pointing down to my body because that's where they are. You know, the emotions are that set of signals going on in the body. But the fact is that if we're suppressing that, or if we're not paying really attention to what's there, then we can get in a bit of a muddle. You know, we can get confused. And I'm sure many of you may be able to relate to past. I'd sort of mixed in my mind feelings of, say, hunger and anxiety. So for me, feeling anxious, you know, the physical sensations weren't that different to, say, feeling hungry. So it's like, I will go and eat all of that cake in order to make me, you know, to try to ease those sensations. But actually, what's interesting there is I'm not really letting go of whatever's causing the anxiety. I'm more just mistakenly going, okay, I'm going to eat some food in order to make myself feel better. And although that food may offer some comfort and reward or a nice sugar rush, actually, over time, I'm linking then this feelings of anxiety to I should eat some food. So that then becomes like, you know, that kind of comfort eating. So you can hopefully start to see why actually knowing more about this mind-body connection is really, really helpful, because we can enhance that emotional intelligence, which very interestingly, you know, is seen as one of the most important skills that we can have, you know, living in the world that we do now. You know, particularly the world of artificial intelligence that's coming through. You know, we're living in, even before all these big changes, the fourth industrial revolution. I may have spoken about this last time, but I find it a fascinating area. You know, we're going through these big changes. And even though the world around us may be changing very much, actually the human brain, you know, from what I understand, it hasn't really changed all that much in 200,000 years. So what's interesting here is that although what may be happening around us may be new, it may be unpredictable, we have maybe no precedent to look back on to go, well, how do we navigate this time? But you know what is exactly the same? You, that beautiful brain of yours. And with meditation, we're starting to become familiar with what's going on, how the mind works, how your brain is basically operating. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. Okay, so that's probably a good amount of information to let you soak into that lovely mind of yours. So what we're going to do now is do another meditation practice that is focused on that mind-body connection. So we'll start, so just to offer up a bit of guidance ahead of time, we'll start once again with those 5. But again, you just listen to your body. You know, they're just gentle but deep, but just go with whatever feels comfortable. You know, so if for whatever reason with your body, if breathing deeply doesn't feel comfortable, that's completely fine. You listen to you, okay? But we'll do those breaths to start with, and then we're going to what we do called a body scan. So some of you who are familiar with meditation may have played with this before. And the reason why we're doing a body scan is that, as I highlighted, when it comes to emotions, you know, we feel them in the body. You know, if we even say like, oh, I'm feeling a bit tense, the body is literally constricted. You know, for me, my shoulders go up here. I can feel like a tightness in the chest sometimes. You and we can see, sometimes you can really see in people like how tense and stiff they are. So what we're going to do is, with the attention of the mind, we're going to actually scan through different areas, and we'll sort of just gently scan over the whole of the body. And as we do this, I'm going to invite you to become aware of, say, any sensations. So basically any feelings. When I say feelings, it's we're not so much looking to tell stories or start to add commentary. We're just going, okay, I can feel that they're a bit tense. For example, when we get across to the shoulders, you might observe that actually, yeah, they may be feeling a little bit achy. And then you just acknowledge that. So we just go, okay, I noticed that. And then we let that go and we just keep going. It may be nice to offer up to see if that part of the body wants to relax. So at different points, I maybe will say, can you invite that area to soften and relax? And sometimes you'll be surprised. Sometimes there'll be a little bit more give in those areas. They'll just loosen up that little bit more. If, however, with that invitation of relaxation, that area is like, nope, I'm not moving. Or maybe even feel internal resistance, like I can't relax. Don't worry about it. It's okay. We're just giving it a go. We're just playing around with it and seeing what happens. It's also very common for the mind to wander off a lot. Even if we're experienced meditators, the mind, that's what the mind does. So if you notice that your mind is jumping around or wandering off, we just notice that's happening and we just come back. So I'm going to be here to support you the whole way through with that guidance. Lovely. So I'm going to be in a specific posture, and so it would be lovely if you can also adopt a similar posture. But once again, you know your body best, and ultimately we want to invite having a nice straight spine in meditation. And the reason why is that helps with that quality of alertness, because we're going to be closing the eyes shortly, as well as taking some deep breaths. And as we know, that's going to invite a relaxation response in the body. Sometimes the mind can think, oh, are we going to sleep now? It's like, no, my friend, we're going to do meditation practice. So when we have that nice, long, straight spine, it just sends that message to the mind and body that we're looking to stay alert. So when I say alert, it's just more that being aware of what's happening around us, but, not in a hyper-vigilant way. Imagine like a cat. Like I've got a cat, and, if you stand too close to her, she might jump up and run away, even if she's been sat chilling out. So it's just that kind of relaxed but alertness, so we're aware of what's happening. Lovely. So keeping that nice long straight spine, and with your hands, you can have them resting in the lap with the palms open and the hands so the palms are open facing up to the sky with the hands resting in the lap. If you're able to take that extension in the spine, so sitting up nice and tall just for a moment. And so we'll probably do this practice for about 10 minutes now. And as we sit with this straight spine, sometimes the back can complain a little bit. So some areas may start to pull at your attention, but you can just kindly tell the back that don't worry, we're not doing this for too long, that you can do this. Okay. So we'll gently close the eyes now, or to just lower and soften your gaze if that's more comfortable for you, as our meditation practice will begin. So we'll start with these breaths once more. So we're going to breathe in through the nose, deep into the belly, and exhaling out through the mouth. Nice deep breath in through the nose, deep into the belly. Exhaling out through the mouth. Nice deep breath once more in through the nose, deep into the belly. And out through the mouth. Very good. Couple more breaths like that. A nice deep inhale in through the nose, breathing deep into that belly. And exhaling out through the mouth. Final breath now, and we'll hold on the inhale. So take that nice deep breath once more, and then gently hold with that full breath. Observe the stillness within the body. And then when you're ready, exhaling out through the mouth. Very good, well done. Now allow the breathing to return back to normal. And just taking a moment to observe, to notice any sensations after taking those lovely deep breaths. There may be some tingling in the body, maybe a bit of lightheadedness, and that's okay. Those sensations will settle down, just as the body is starting to settle down into stillness. So if there's any final movement or maybe any itches or ways you want to move, just taking a moment to now really inviting that stillness. And as we go through this meditation practice together, if you feel the urge to move at all, perhaps just sit a moment longer, see if that reaction passes. Now, we're going to focus the attention of the mind, and we'll bring the mind into the present moment by focusing on the body. The body sat wherever you are right now. And to help the mind really focus in and anchor to connect into the present moment, we'll start with focusing on the top of the head. So bring your awareness to focus on the very top of the head, just being aware of that point of the body. Maybe you can feel the hair on top of the head or the skin. Just in your mind's eye, you can see that point, but become aware of any sensations there. And this is just the starting point. As we'll begin to scan down now, and it may be helpful to imagine the attention of the mind like a spotlight, gently shining. And the attention of the mind can start to come down now across the forehead, and then along the eyebrows, across the eyes. And if the eyes are closed, perhaps you can invite even more softness there. So there's no tension or holding around the skin of the eyes. And with the attention of the mind, we can gently scan across the nose, and then across to the ears, and the cheeks, down across the top of the lip, the bottom lip, along the chin, the length of the jaw. Just seeing if we can maybe relax the jaw a little bit more. Such a strong part of the body can now soften and relax. So particularly the eyes, the cheeks and the jaw, just invite that whole area to soften and relax. Just see if maybe you can feel the muscles and the skin on the face just sinking down a little bit more. If there's still some holding, that's okay. We'll bring the attention of the mind to also scan across the length of the neck now. So being aware of the front of the neck, the back of the neck, And then along the length of the shoulders and the collarbones. How are the shoulders right now? Maybe you can sense the need to move them slightly, to open them up. Can you invite the shoulders to soften and relax at all? So the arms are really hanging down now. You can give them permission just to rest. And with the attention of the mind, coming back to focusing on the chest. And just noticing if our mind is wandering off, and that's okay. With love, we just bring the mind back to focusing on the body. And coming back to bring the attention of the mind to focus on the chest. And we'll gently scan down now to the center of the chest. And we'll actually take a deep breath here to really connect to the body breathing. So let's do a nice deep inhale here through the nose. Feeling that expansion, and then exhaling out through the mouth. Feeling that dropping back down. Very good. Now allow the breathing just to be as it is. We'll focus the attention of the mind once more to come scanning down, to continue down the front of the body and onto the belly. Just taking a moment to notice, can you feel the sensations of the clothes, even on the skin? Noticing where there may be areas where the clothes are particularly close. Noticing the fabric of your clothes on the skin around the belly. And we'll take one deep breath here and notice if you can feel how the fabric of your clothes changes at all. The sensations, how they are different as you breathe in. So we'll breathe in through the nose, deep into that belly. And exhaling out through the mouth. Very good, well done. And just focusing the attention of the mind once more. So coming back in, and we'll continue scanning down now. So we're going to focus in on the hips, becoming aware of the hips, and then coming around to the sides of the hips and focusing in on the lower back and also the tops of the thighs and really in and around the glutes. Such a strong area of the body. And we'll invite this whole area to soften and relax. So although we have this straight spine still, maybe there's a bit of give. Can you feel that gentle pressure where the body is making contact wherever you're sitting? So you're aware of the lower back and the glutes and the tops of the thighs and how they're making contact with wherever you are. And if the mind's wandering off, we tell the mind, come back now. We're focusing in on the body just for a few more minutes. Can really encourage the mind to stay focused. Know that we can do this. We'll bring the attention of the mind to also focus now on the tops of the legs. So along the full length of the thighs and the backs of the thighs. So you're scanning across those areas, just being aware of any sensations that may become apparent. Maybe you can't really feel anything. Maybe there's nothing really coming through, and that's okay. We're just being curious. So we'll invite the attention of the mind to scan down across the knees now. And with the knees, if you're sat with your feet on the floor, maybe you can invite the legs to relax a little bit more. So maybe they become a bit floppy. So maybe the knees open up a little bit as that relaxation starts to come through in the legs. The legs are so strong and do so much for us. They have permission to relax now. And we'll invite the attention of the mind to go that little bit further. Tell yourself you're doing really well. Just staying focused, not much more to go. So we'll focus along the length of the shin bones and the calves, down to the ankles, bringing your awareness, so the attention of the mind, to focus down on the ankles and then finally the feet. It may be helpful to very gently wiggle the toes if you wish, like the toes are waving hello. And then feeling all that feedback that comes from the feet, all that information. How does the ground feel? If you're wearing shoes, what sensations are there? Or if you're wearing socks, can you feel the texture of the fabric? And if you like, you can very gently press away the floor with the feet and instantly feel how the legs fire up. So you can feel it in the thighs straight away. Very good. So we'll invite the body to come back to stillness. And we'll bring the attention of the mind to come up now and actually focus on the hands resting in the lap. So we've scanned through the rest of the body and we'll just focus on the hands resting in the lap just for these final moments. Just taking notice of how the hands feel. Can you feel that gentle pressure where the hands are resting in the lap? Do the hands feel heavy? Do the hands feel light? Are they hot? Is there any warmth in those lovely hands resting in the lap? Or maybe there's coolness. Perhaps you can even feel the air circulating very gently around the fingers. Very good. So now we've scanned through the whole body. I'm going to invite you to let go of focusing the attention of the mind, and I'll fall silent for a few moments. And in fact, the mind is welcome to be completely free. The mind can go where it chooses, think what it wants to think. So just observe the mind and what it does with that invitation of freedom as we sit for a few moments in silence. Very good, well done. Now this meditation practice is coming towards its close. But before we do, just take a moment to recognize that you've taken time out of your day to become familiar with this mind and body in this present moment. This body is a safe harbor. This body is your best friend. So becoming more familiar with how this mind and body is, becoming familiar with sensations within the body is a wonderful skill, is a way of increasing our awareness, of not only how we're feeling, but actually who we are. And you can feel who you are. In life, we don't follow what we know, we follow how we feel. So learning to tap into this mind-body connection will offer you a lot of wisdom. So be proud of yourself for cultivating that wisdom today. So as we come out of this practice, keep your eyes still closed just for now, but start to bring a bit of movement back into that safe harbor, that lovely body. So you can wiggle the fingers, maybe start pedaling the feet. And if you feel like you want to stretch that lovely body of yours, you're welcome to do so. And when you're ready, just very gently opening the eyes, just taking your time to let the light come back in. Very good, well done. So that was a bit of a longer one in the end. We sat for a good 15 minutes or so. So for some of you, that may be one of the longest ones you've done. So if that is, you should be like super proud of yourself. But yeah, I hope that was an interesting experience for you. And I know that in my own meditation journey, my mind, even now, tends to go really fast. And I used to find it really challenging to do body scans. My mind was definitely like a caged animal, like, I don't want to focus on the body. It's jumping around to lots of things. So for some of you, you may have had that experience. And if so, I feel you, but well done. For others, you really may have been able to really connect actually and sort of start to scan over the body and really stay with it. And it's very normal for our mind to wander off. So don't worry if that happened. But as I shared, at the beginning, the more we practice these types of skills, we can really strengthen that mind-body connection and start to shift our perspective about what is going on for us. So we can even start to adapt our language a bit. So instead of saying, I am anxious, where we're starting to say, identify and label, our experience within the body as our whole being. We can say things like, I'm feeling a bit of tension in the body. I've got butterflies in my stomach. I can feel like a tightness in the throat. And when we do that, it creates a little bit of space, like a bit of a gap between what is happening and our experience. So what is happening externally that may be creating that experience. And then when you create that space, we're stepping out of reactivity, as in we're starting to become aware of what's going on, and then we can start to make choices. I believe I shared this towards the end of the last session, but it's really powerful because that's when we can start to choose to respond, to be responsible for our own feelings, our actions, and therefore our results in life. So hopefully you can see why these practices in what is a formal practice that we've been doing here, you can carry out into the world. So if you're ever feeling a bit off center, if you're ever starting to observe, say, the chaos happening around you or lots of things you can't control, starting to cause certain feelings in you that feel uncomfortable, know that you can do those 5 belly breaths, that we did at the start. Then you can bring that mental focus inwards. You can be like, okay, what is going on? Do I feel like tension in the chest? Can I relax that? Do I feel like a liveliness in the belly or lots of butterflies? Can I breathe into that? Take a little breath out. And honestly, these things are so powerful. These types of exercises, this is stuff that, like Navy SEALs do and people in the armed forces. and Navy SEALs won't get involved with technologies and techniques that don't work. So these do work. And I really hope that they've worked for you. And I'm really looking forward to us doing some more sessions together over the coming weeks. So hopefully I'll see you there again too. But I just wanted to finish this session today with a lovely quote that hopefully will resonate with some of you, bearing in mind what we've been covering today. So I will share this quote with you now. Should come up on the screen in a moment. Lovely. So peace is not the absence of chaos or conflict, but rather finding yourself in the midst of that chaos and remaining calm in your heart. So that peace, that inner peace, that stillness, that is always with you. And the body is always in the here and now, which is why it's so wonderful to become more familiar with this body. But you have all this peace and stillness inside of you. An analogy you may have heard before is it's like our consciousness can maybe be like a body of water or the ocean. It doesn't matter how wavy or big the waves are, or how much is happening, how much chaos there is at the top of the ocean. If you drop down, there's that stillness. So as we drop down in meditation into our bodies, into our experience, you can find that calmness. And as we practice this more and more, you can access that calm in your heart. So then, that's me finishing up now. So the next couple of sessions we're going to cover together are going to be focused on looking a bit more at things like our intuition. And then we're also going to be covering more about actually purpose and vision. So I've got them listed out in a slide now, but all that's left to say is just a really warm thank you from me. And if you fancy staying in touch, you can actually scan this QR code here, or there's my email at the bottom there. So if you've got any questions, I work with people all across the world exploring these techniques. So if you want to get in touch, that's how to connect with me. Otherwise, I will see you next week for our next session. So really, how can we be present and explore that in meditation? And then we're going to finish up on the final session the following week about purpose and vision. Amazing. Okay, well, have a beautiful day. Go and enjoy the rest of your day. Be proud of the work that you've done here. And I will see you next week. Thank you very much. Thank you.